Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another Supatease video. And there was a massive amount of changes that just happened to PvP, groundbreaking, really. And if you missed them, I'll have them linked in a video at the end of this one. But in today's video, I wanted to cover the ramifications of those changes, which specializations are going to be rising to the top and which could be falling down to the bottom to be forgotten in terms of power. And if you want to make sure that you're not missing out on any updates related to World of Warcraft, smash that subscribe button. Your support is greatly appreciated. So in today's tier list, we're going to be covering the solo shuffle bracket, as it is going to be quite difficult to cover, multiple different angles of PvP and have a lot of accuracy in terms of the strength of the class. So this is going to be focused, solely on solo shuffle. Now, Affliction Warlocks, they're feeling good in Season 3. There was a lot of changes to Dispel mechanics even before this round of changes. Feign Death no longer removes dots. Fade Dispel now has backlash effects onto priests. Demon Hunter's reverse magic takes, hit back of damage when they reverse dots. Affliction is in a lot better of a spot. It's directly going to feel the benefits of nerfs to things like Unholy Death Knight, Havoc Demon Hunter, and Fistweaver Monk, as these were specializations that it struggled with. So it's definitely going to be better in that regard. Now, Holy Paladins, though, are getting better, and they're actually going to be a lot better, I think, in this patch. And Holy Paladins are very difficult for Affliction Warlock. They just heal through AoE damage like it's nothing. So if Holy Paladins are in a strong position, and Mistweaver Monks, even with the nerfs, are still going to be difficult for you to deal with, I could see you struggling a bit in solo shuffle. So I'm kind of lowering the ranking here. I think in the hands of the best Affliction locks, it's probably going to feel decently strong. If you're a beginner or a moderate level player, it's going to feel weaker. So it's kind of, an angle of approach based on what skill level you're at in terms of your success for this. So I'm averaging that down a little bit below A into B+ for Affliction. Arcane Mage, you're losing some mobility advantages here. You're losing speed benefits from your Barrage Snare. It's only going to be a 25% sprint as opposed to 50. You're also getting your Blast Wave reduced from 70 to 50% snare. And you're losing some healing with Temporal Shield going down from a 100% heal to a 60% heal of the damage done, which means you're going to be weaker to dots, just weaker to damage in general. Melee are likely going to have a bit of an easier time connecting to you. I'm still not sure if it's going to be, possible with you just spamming Barrage with no cooldown. I think that's the biggest difference for Arcane now, is since the patch where they put Barrage has no cooldown, you just keep the melee permanently snared, and even if you're only spraying 25%, it's still usually enough. It might mean that things like Chains of Ice, though, equalize your mobility so that classes can keep up with you, but Death Knight's got nerfed. Again, with Arcane, I think in the hands of the most skilled player is going to feel really powerful, but in beginner or moderate, you're probably going to struggle. So I'm putting this into kind of the B+ for solo shuffle at the moment. I think it's still going to be really powerful to the best Arcane mages, but likely if you were kind of a Fodem reroller and relying on and abusing how powerful it was, you're going to feel the changes more noticeably. Arms Warrior is a really good spec. It's really versatile with a lot of classes. The main problem I see for Arms Warrior in this patch is changes that came through for Frost Mage, because Frost Mage is almost like a direct counter to you, similarly to Arcane Mage. These classes can be really tough for you to stick to your target. However, Warlock is really good right now, particularly Demonology, and you do really well into Warlocks, you do really well into Death Knights, kind of these slower moving meteor classes that you can kind of cleave down. I don't think it's probably going to feel like an S tier. It's probably going to feel like an A tier overall with this patch. Moving forward, you didn't get nerfed at all. You still have really good damage. You were definitely, right on the heels of a lot of other melee DPS. In this current patch, you're probably going to feel around an A, pretty solid all around. Assassination Rogue, you receive some nerfs to your Kingsbane damage. I've still yet to see a lot of Assassination Rogues. When I do see them, occasionally they're absolutely insane. They're just running somebody down immediately. Other times it's kind of lackluster. There's not really a lot going on. This isn't one where I think if you're a beginner, you're going to struggle more than advanced. I think Assassination is a bit more just overall easier to play, so it's not going to have the same struggles like an Affliction or an Arcane would have in solo shuffle, but it's still really tough for me to rank. I'm kind of tempted to put it onto B+ at the moment, just because its potential is still not fully realized. I think Rogue can be difficult to play in Shuffle, coordinating crowd control, but it's probably going to feel a bit better to a beginner player than any of the other Rogue specs, because you can just run somebody down with bleed damage. So take that into account here. Balanced Druid, I'm thinking this is probably an S tier with all the changes coming through. Demon Hunter was tough to deal with. Unholy Death Knight was tough to deal with. You're still probably the most versatile range DPS for this bracket. Cyclone is just good in all situations. You still have a really good damage profile. It's just going to be really powerful still. Definitely a sleeper spec for this patch. Beast Mastery Hunter, this might come as a surprise. I might do a risky gamble here, especially with the changes to Demon Hunter. Am I about to do this? Am I about to put it on S, or should I put it on A? How are we feeling about this? Maybe A is probably more fair, but I really want to put it on S. Beastmaster is just doing a remarkable amount of damage. It's heavily carried by that fact, and it's really good into Resto Druids with Trank Darts at the moment. But it's definitely squishier, and it can fall behind in that regard. So maybe this will hold it back from being S tier, but it's definitely slept on. Super powerful spec. Blood DK, I'm putting this onto B tier. All the tank specs are actually a lot stronger than in the previous patch. It's going to be frustrating to deal with them. So Blood DK and Brewmaster here onto B tier. They're just super annoying. They have a lot more damage than they had in the previous patch. Demonology, this is a tough one. Again, I think with the nerfs to Demon Hunter and no nerfs towards yourself, I'm kind of leaning into Demonology being S tier. It has such an insane amount of damage, and even in the Demon Hunter patch, when I'd see them, a lot of them were going 6-0. So now with the nerfs to a lot of classes that are tough for you to deal with, I can't imagine it's going to get any worse, right? So a Demonology, I think, is definitely an S tier specialization. Destruction Warlock, again, I really want to put this on S tier. I'm not lying to you. I really want to. I've played a lot of Destro. I think in hands of really good players, it's insane. But less experienced players that don't know how to chain crowd control, like Infernal Stun into Shadow Fury and a double coil and get setups like that, you can't just kind of flail around and get a lot of pressure out, and melee DPS are going to be running you over if you don't know how to kite appropriately. Do I want to say it's S or A? I think with interdimensional rifts, with the set bonuses, especially with the Demonology is getting more set bonuses, right? So moving forward, it's going to get even stronger. I think Destro is also the same. It's going to continue to get stronger. It's really remarkably powerful. Devastation Evoker, honestly, probably the best Evoker specialization for this patch. You just have an insanely higher amount of damage in this patch than previous. Still pretty weak defensively, although nerfs to things like Subtlety Rogue definitely going to benefit you. So where do we want to put this? I think it's either an A or a B+. It's somewhere in between. Do I really think that Devastation is better than Arcane? It's probably comparable. I want to say that it's like probably right in the middle of it. I think you still can kind of get Zerg down in one shot, but it's definitely a lot better than it has been in the past. Discipline Priest for solo shuffle. I mean, the representation is obvious that it's S tier. With the nerfs to Resto Druid, it's going to be even better at that point. It's got a lot of damage, really fun, best spec in the game in my opinion. Definitely going to be doing really well. Ellie Shaman, you're getting buffs, but it's to spells that aren't really that impactful. If it doesn't affect Flame Shock, Lava Burst, or Earth Shock, I don't know really how much of an impact it's going to have. But in Shuffle, this is the most botted spec. It was one of the highest rated specs overall. It's probably still going to be the case, although I feel like if you're a beginner Ellie, it's not maybe going to feel as potent. But no. We're not debating this, man. This has got to be like, I think it's probably less than Demo, maybe better than Destro. It's easier to play. I think Ellie out of all these DPS is the easiest to play in Shuffle and do well, because you can just focus on doing damage and it's all instant cast for the most part. Enhancement Shaman, I feel like the spec isn't that good. I mean, you've still got the Ascendance procs, being able to one-shot somebody like that, but I honestly don't feel like it's that good, especially in Shuffle. You can get lobbies that are really bad for you, like multiple casters. You don't really synergize with some specs in the game compared to others. I'm kind of throwing it here onto the B tier. I like, you can make it work if you're really good, but I really don't think Enhance is that great in solo Shuffle. Feral Druid, main problem for you is survivability. You got decent damage. Set bonuses coming through are definitely going to be helping you out in that regard. There's the Demon Hunter, obviously a buff, but that's a buff to pretty much everybody, right? You synergize better than Enhancement Shaman, and you have Clone spam, so I feel like that makes you better than Enhance. Clone is just really powerful in that regard, so I'm probably going to slap you like on a B+. I think you're better than Assassination, or close to at least, into a B+ position. Defense is weakness, but if you abuse spam Clone, you have decent damage. You can definitely make things work. Fire Mage. Now, Fire Mage is getting rebalanced a bit. I'm a bit worried about what they're doing, because they're basically, given the option to not go Glass Cannon. And how tanky is Fire Mage when they don't go Glass Cannon? Like, is it invincible? Is it like Shadowlands where they can never die? I'm a bit worried in that regard. And that's how they're shifting around. Now, the Blast Wave nerf on your snare is going to be felt by Fire as well, but I feel like it's going to be a bit better than it was previously. Do I think it's A tier at this point? Do I think it's really better than Arcane? Is this really the patch where it's going to take over? I think so. I think it is. I want to say that it is. With the nerfs coming to Marksmanship Hunter, I think Beastmaster is probably going to be your next most difficult challenge. But if you get control of its pets well with Frost Nova and Ring of Frost, I think that you can combat Beastmaster a lot easier than you can combat at Marksmanship. And you're really good in things like Demonology. You synergize with a lot of the melee DPS and even some of the casters. Really good damage. Yeah, I think A tier is fair for Fire after all these changes. Frost. Now, this one is like, It's either going to be the God spec and absolutely the best, or it's just going to still feel pretty average because it's getting like 80% damage buffs to some of its abilities like Frost Bomb. I think that you're going to have to cast a lot more, but that's not really a big deal. With all the snares you have, you can get a lot of distance. I'm throwing it up on S for now. I think that this is mostly because it's really good into melee DPS, and melee DPS are really popular in Shuffle. But the damage buffs that I've seen on the numbers that are coming through for it make me think that like there's no way that it's not insane. Like it's got to be. People are reacting so remarkably to it. I feel like it's got to be insane. Frost Death Knight, I'm throwing you down here. Frost Death Knight needs a rework. Hopefully you get some love and attention in the future. It's rough out there. Fury Warrior, you're not really a spec without set bonuses. I'm working on playing Fury Warrior, actually. It's one of my, I think, like 5 of the specs I'm playing at the moment. Without set bonuses, it feels really weak, but once you get the set bonuses, you start feeling a lot better. I'd say you're probably weaker than Arms, only slightly. I'm going to put you on A tier. A little bit behind Arms. If you're on the left, I think you're the best. And again, moving left to right, melee against ranged is usually a bit better way to think about this. Guardian Druid, I actually think you're probably weaker than a lot of the other tank specs in Solo Shuffle. Damage output is just much lower in that regard. Demon Hunter, you're probably still S. I think even after the damage nerfs, it's mostly targeting your burst damage. I think your sustained damage, the way that the class works, how versatile it is, all the crowd control it has, it's still probably an S tier melee DPS in Solo Shuffle. I still think it will be. Holy Priest, I did not like playing Holy Priest. I played Holy Priest and felt like I ran out of mana faster than every other healer. And my damage output was like maybe a little bit less than them. Now in RMP and 3v3, Holy Priest is easily one of the best healers in some comp-specific scenarios. But in Shuffle, where dampening is really fast, it feels like your mana is just worse. I think they must have had some mana regeneration nerfs for PvE or something, and you really feel it. You just run out of mana like 30 seconds, maybe a minute faster than other classes. I think it's going to be kind of rough. Holy Paladin, I'm throwing this up on A tier, but similar to Frost Mage, this thing could absolutely take over now. Because if your mana is going as long as the other healers, your healing output wasn't bad. So definitely something that could jump up to S tier, but Holy Paladin is much improved from previous. Marksmanship Hunters, buffs to your arcane shots. You can do a little bit more damage to plate, and nerfs to your rapid fire. You're probably still going to be really good into Clothies. My expectation for that is still that you're going to be really just a monster. So you're either A, maybe like tied with Beast Mastery, or I want to slap you up onto S. I feel like you are an S tier ranged, man. There's so many S tier ranged, which is crazy because melee DPS overrepresent ranged. Isn't that funny? I think it's because melee DPS are easier to play. It's either A or S, I think, even after the changes. Mistweaver Monk, you're probably A tier. I think you still got really good mana. If you can flex between playing ranged and Fistweaver, then you've got you can set up really good situations for yourself. Outlaw Rogue received a couple of damage nerfs. You're probably still actually really good though in Shuffle, even though the representation is low. I'm gonna slap you up on like an A tier, maybe better than Warrior, a little better than Warrior, better than Fury for sure. Outlaw Rogue is definitely slept on. I thought it was going to be bad moving in this patch, but it's actually really good. Preservation Evoker, not very good in Shuffle. Probably, I'm debating whether or not it's the worst healer, honestly. It's just not able to keep up with the damage. It's in a really tough spot. Even with the, it didn't get any buffs. I think it's going to be in a really tough spot. Prot Warrior, probably one of the best tanks for Shuffle. I think the damage output is higher than any other. Prop Paladin, we can't really rank because you only play against other Prop Paladins. Resto Shaman, it's either down here with Evoker or it's like a little bit better. I'm going to put it here as like second worst healer on B+. I think with all the Warlocks, it can definitely do really good in these kind of caster, slower lobbies. It really struggles with Resto Druid, but Resto Druid got nerfed, so maybe it's going to feel a little bit better from that. But its output is a lot harder to pull off than some of the other healers at the moment. But it's not totally uncompetitive either. So I think B+ is probably fair for it. Resto Druid, even with the Life Bloom nerfs, it really depends on this Grove Tender change. So you can kind of like kill the treants that the Resto Druid summons. Their health is being nerfed by 66%. So if classes can get on top of a Druid and they drop all their trees at one point and you can just AoE kill them all and then their healing is nothing and they die, I can see Resto Druid falling off really hard. If that's not the case, or if you're more conservative and you don't drop your Trents in the same location, you have to be really careful about that. I think it's probably still S. 12% to Life Bloom is pretty big, but with Tree of Life and yeah, maybe the strat will be to train Resto Druid and kill the Trance. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe it falls off, but I think it's probably still going to feel like it's S. Ret Paladin, I think it's still S. Slept on spec, just remarkable damage. Still in the same spot as was last patch, basically, while all these other specs are getting attention because of their 400,000 crits. Shadow Priest, 8% damage buff. I don't really think it's enough. And the 2-minute cooldown Master Spell, you're probably like the best of the B+. After all the changes coming through, I feel like Arcane is not in the right spot. I feel like Arcane should still be in A tier. But I don't know if it's enough really for Shadow to be noticeable. Now I'm trying to think if like healer balance also negatively impacts you. Paladin will help you into melee cleaves, but Paladin also counters you more than other healers, so tough balance there. Salty Rogue nerfs to some spells, but it's really just like shaving off the top. I don't think it's really going to be super remarkable. I think in the hands of the best players, that Subtlety is probably still going to be like the best spec or one of the best specs in Solo Shuffle. We got a tournament coming up from Void here on December 2nd and 3rd, which will help decide, solidify whether this tier list is that correct or not. But it's just really good if you know how to use Shadowy Duel and Smoke Bomb and set up your one-shots. You're going to be absolutely in control. But if you're new to this spec, you're never really going to be feeling the advantages that it brings. Survival Hunter, another spec that's kind of slept on. I think it's actually really good. Putting it up here next to Fury Warrior. An Outlaw Rogue on the A tier. It's a spec that needs to get its set bonuses though, but once you get those, I think you're definitely going to be feeling strong. Unholy Death Knight, even with nerfs to Death Coil, I still think it's going to be strong. I still think it's going to be an S tier melee DPS. Definitely really potent. Vengeance Demon Hunter, this might be a surprise. I'm actually throwing this up on S tier. It is so remarkable with the sigil cooldowns. We have like 2 charges of every sigil. Your crowd control is remarkable. Your damage is high as patch. Like actually really slept on OP tank spec. Windwalker Monk, we don't see a lot of it or talk a lot about it. I want to say that's probably like A, probably fits in here with Outlaw Rogue or something. It's still just really straightforward. Pops around and do a lot of damage, run people down. Would like to see talent update to it, so its capstone talents at the bottom are a little bit more desirable. But it's definitely strong. Augmentation, now this is the Fallen from Grace specialization. Like the representation for it is so low. It's not really feeling that powerful. I think Devastation is better than it. I kind of want to put it here on B a little bit. Just put it on B. Okay, so now we've got this all confirmed. What specialization? You can see there's a lot of S tier specializations. It's really tough. I think some are falling off more than others. Some are pretty close to falling off, or maybe need like a little bit of a tweak up, and they'll be up into the A tier pretty easily compared to the rest of the specializations. And some people probably say Outlaw is better than Sub. In Shuffle, do we want to tweak this at all? I'm really tempted to tweak Arcane up here. I feel like putting Shadow and Arcane is not the same. Like even with the changes to survivability, I feel like it's not the same. We need to move Arcane up here to A tier. I think Fire would likely feel better though, because it's just more instant cast damage, or it's really comparable in terms of the trade-off. I think other than that, like maybe Outlaw Rogue goes up here. We'll put Outlaw Rogue up here with Sub. But again, in a tournament, I think most of the Rogues are going to pick Sub, but I think Outlaw is definitely good. I think that's a little bit more fair with everything we're going. Like I could see Fury being down here too. Oh, this is such a tough one, man. This is such a tough one. Maybe Fury should be down here. Yeah, probably should. Okay. We did a little bit of a readjustment here. Ranged against ranged, melee against melee, in terms of how strong and potent they are. Maybe Rep Paladin's better than DK or close. It's really tough to say with that one. This is how I'm feeling with the specializations currently for after the PvP changes, PvP reworks. There's a lot of good stuff, right? And you can see even despite the nerfs that some specs are still likely going to feel strong in this bracket, given how their kit and their history has been. They're still going to have their traditional weaknesses, these two directly with each other, right? That's it, though. Thank you guys very much for watching this tier list. I hope that you guys enjoyed the discussion, and I will see you in the next one.